the second in charge of any position is not permitted to listen in on a higher up frequency. Same thing goes for the 2IC of Bravo fire team or the 2IC of that squad. You can have the higher up frequency plugged in, but don't listen to it. And I will tell you momentarily on how to plug that in and not listen to it, and also plug it in and listen to it. So just try to pay attention. Have a question, ask away. Now, 3 people with a leadership billet in that squad, which is the 2 fire team leaders and the squad leader. They are no longer mentioned by last name. So if Sergeant Smith was the squad leader and I was his Alpha fire team leader, I would not say, Sergeant Smith, this is Sergeant Margiotta, over. No, since he is the squad leader, he is now actual. That is his actual, no longer Sergeant Smith. Since I am Alpha fire team leader, I am Alpha, and of course Bravo will be Bravo. So that goes for anybody in said fire team. If you call it up to your fire team leader, do not call him by his last name. He will not respond by his last name. He will respond by either Alpha or Bravo. All right, moving on. We're going to go over radio procedures and pro words. There are 3 phonetic numbers that we use. Numbers, well, these 3 in particular can get a little fucky when you're talking over the radio. So there are alternate ways to say them to make sure you get that information across right the first time. The 3 numbers are, funny that the first one is 3, and that will be said like tree. 5, excuse me. 5 will be said like fife. And last but not least, 9 will be said like niner. Now, does that mean if you're talking to your battle buddy right next to him, you do not have to fucking use the phonetic numbers? That is when you need to send something important across, either verbally or on net. You can say 3, 5, and 9 just fine, as long as it's not being confused. Now we use phonetic alphabet a little bit, not as much as numbers. So if you want to look those up and learn them, by all means do it. Make sure you are looking up the military and not civilian phonetic alphabet. Now, numbers, do not group them together. Do not say 200. It is 200, 150, 350. Do not group them together when you say any group of numbers. Always word them out individually. Alright, so we're moving over to pro words. Pro words are just words that help with brevity over the radio. Now you gotta understand, you have multiple people talking over the same frequency. So that shit can get pretty hectic, especially in a firefight. So you want to have brevity, which is a fancy word to say you want to keep your fucking comms short and to the point. Now, the first pro word is "this is." Using that pro word will be used every time you key up the radio. And the reason why is because you need to let the person know who is contacting, or who you are contacting, who is contacting them. Let me make it a little bit more or less confusing here. Say I was trying to call Sergeant Smith or key him up on a radio. We just happen to be battle buddies. I would say, Sergeant Smith, this is Sergeant Margiana, over. Now, it wouldn't be that formal, especially in a firefight. And if we're battle buddies, chances are I'll just say, Smith, this is Margiana, over. He won't get mad, and I won't get mad if he does the same. It's not the time to get butthurt about fucking ranks. Now, this is going to be used every time. Every time you key up that radio, this is me. You leave no room for fucking assumptions. Next pro word is over. I'm sure you heard or caught the over part at the end of my communication with Sergeant Smith. I initiated that communication, and when I said over, that told the person that I was communicating with, which is Sergeant Smith, that I have nothing else to say at that moment, and now he is free to talk. You can think of it as taking a football or a stick, whatever the fuck you want to think of it as, and as long as you have that football or stick, you can talk. When you say over, you're passing that stick or your football to the other person so that they can talk. And as long as they got that stick or football, you can't say shit because they have it until they say over. Now, let's say you forgot to say over. Well, if I didn't say that, Sergeant Smith is going to be on the other end wondering what the fuck's going on because I didn't over the conversation, and he is waiting for me because I didn't over it, which means I still have the power to talk. So don't forget to use your pro words. So that's over. Next one is out. This one is equally as important as over, but should not be grouped together. Over and out is Hollywood bullshit and mean completely two different things. So don't say over and out, or somebody who hears you will bust your balls. And yeah, don't group them together. Now, Sergeant Smith and I are finished with our communication, our traffic that we're sending between each other. I am going to out that communication because I initiated that communication. It's easily done by Sergeant Smith. This is Sergeant Margiana. Out. That's it. Out tells Sergeant Smith, and it also tells everybody else on that frequency that we no longer have control of said frequency. As long as Sergeant Smith and I keep overing our communication, we have control of said frequency. As soon as that transmission, that communication is outed, now that frequency is free for anybody else to use. But up to that point, the only two people should have control over that frequency. There's no fucking three-way calling or anything like that. Two people use a fucking frequency at once. So don't forget to out the transmission because you will have other people waiting for you to do that. And that goes everything against fucking brevity. You want to say what you need to say and get off the fucking frequency so somebody else can get on it. Now, you will hear a couple contradictions to what I just said about the person who initiated the communication is the one who outs that communication. Now, it changes a little bit once you get in a higher billet. If I was a PFC or specialist in a fire team talking with my battle buddy or somebody else, that's how it's going to go. There's going to be no special reason for somebody else to out my communication besides me or the person who initiated. Now, if you were talking to your squad leader and you're a fire team leader, the squad leader could easily out your transmission if he's busy and he needs to focus attention somewhere else. So if he outs your transmission, don't get butthurt over it. It happens. Same thing happens to him. When a squad leader's talking up to fucking command company, he'll get fucking outed sometimes before he can out the transmission. It's just a lot of shit's going on and they need to free up the frequency. So there are a couple times where the person who did not initiate contact, the communication will get outed or will out that communication. But it doesn't happen often. Alright. Next pro word is break. Think of that pro word as either a period or a comma. It allows you to break up a communication. So instead of throwing all this information at one person, especially in a firefight when the fucking 249 is singing in somebody's ear, you want to break up that information so you're not overloading their senses. It's easy as, for example, Sergeant Smith is Sergeant Margiotta over. He would go back with Sergeant Margiotta to Sergeant Smith, send it over. Let's say I see some enemies, so I'm going to give him the 3Ds. That's distance, direction, and description. No in particular order. Just as long as you get the 3Ds out. So, say I see some enemy contacts. So I tell him, Sergeant Smith, Sergeant Margiotta, have enemy contacts bearing 349 range. Break. Because I gotta get my fucking vectors out, or I want to give them a proper range, because if it's a piece of armor, so I'll have to break that communication and give them a range, then come back and give it to them. So it can also let your mouth catch up with your brain, or your brain catch up with your mouth, and or break up a long-winded communication. Now, to successfully do a break, you need to let go of the radio. You unkey the radio. When you're ready to speak, you key the radio back up and you keep talking like you just were. There's no need for you to fucking say, you, this is me, over. Because you already have control of that net and you haven't overed that communication yet, so there's no reason for you to do that. You just say break, let go of the key it back up, and start more with that communication. Simple as that. Next is wait over. Wait over means you have, you need about 30 minutes. No, 30 seconds to, about 30 seconds to a minute to answer who's calling you. One of the biggest pet peeves of team leaders and fucking squad leaders is their guys not fucking answering when they're being called. I'm gonna get to your question. That's the biggest way to fucking get a lot of people killed, is not answering fucking communication. If you're busy, you have something that's fucking a tad bit more important going on, instead of just leaving them fucking hanging, you can easily say, this is me, wait over. Fucking that simple, that quick, and it lets the person call and know that you need a little bit of time to finish whatever the fuck you're doing, and you will get back in touch with them. Now, by using the pro word wait over, you still have control of that frequency. So make sure you're going to get back in a timely manner. If not, there's another pro word for that. But first off, question.
Is it possible to say wait one instead of just wait over?
No, because the next pro word, I mean, it does get said, but it kind of goes against these two pro words, because the one that I just went over, wait over, says you need about 30 seconds to a minute to respond. Now, the next pro word, and I'm going to let you see why wait one is kind of not useful. So, wait over, 30 seconds to a minute. Your next pro word is wait out. Now, that says that you need more than a minute to get back to them. So you might as well follow procedures and pro word. Instead of using wait one, use wait over and wait out. You don't want to confuse anybody. Plus, you're not over and or outing that transmission when you say wait one. So, in all technicality, you still have control of the net by saying wait one, and you're not letting the other person talk because you never overed it. So, just try to get the habit of using wait over and wait out.
Copy, sir.
So, wait out was or is the next pro word. That means you need more than a minute. Now, this is one of those times where you can out a transmission that you didn't start. The Sergeant Smith was calling down to me, wondering what the fuck's going on, and I got bullets whizzing by my head, and the 240 singing, and fucking, my other two fucking guys kicking ass, and I can't get to him. Instead of letting him wonder what the fuck's going on because I didn't answer, I can easily say, this is me, wait out. I told him I need a bit of time to get back to him because I'm busy, and I'm also freeing up the net by outing that transmission. So when it's wait out, anybody can start back on that frequency. So your next pro word is Roger. Roger simply means I have received your last transmission and understand it. Simple as that. Roger. This is me, Roger over. Simple. Next pro word takes the previous pro word, which was Roger, to a step further. This pro word is Wilco. It is shortened down for will comply. So where it takes the I have received your last transmission and understand it, but it takes it a step further. It says I have received your last transmission, I understand it, and I will comply. So if I tell my fire team to go clear out the building, instead of just saying Roger, he would say Wilco. You know, you just me Wilco over. Roger just is telling me that he understands what I want him to do. But if he says Wilco, that tells me, alright, he understands you, that I want him to go clear out that fucking building, and he's going to go do it right now. So, somebody gives you something to do, use a pro word, Wilco. Now it's just like over and out. Roger Wilco is fucking retarded, don't use it together. They mean two distinctly different things. Next one is a fucking biggie. Next pro word is say again. I want you to take the word repeat and fucking erase it from your fucking dictionary inside your brain. Fucking do not use repeat anymore. Repeat is a pro word for the 11 Charlie or fucking Mortimer. Repeat is for them to repeat their last fire mission. And you can see where that could go fucking wrong. If you're in their last fire mission, fucking clearing out buildings, and you happen to fucking say repeat, and somebody caught wind of it, and by a fucking miracle, the Mortimer caught wind of it, and they put out a fucking repeat fire mission, and it could wipe out your fucking entire squad. Not saying it could happen, or it hasn't happened, but let's not fucking take the chance. So, don't fucking say repeat anymore. It's always say again your last, say again all after a certain word, or all before a certain word. But never ever